yes, it is, Rich, because he's one of the most productive playmakers in Fresno State history. He's a true dual-threat running back. You see him here catching the football out of the backfield so he can be a mismatch on linebackers, but he's bulked up, got a low center of gravity, and it's hard to arm tackle. How well he does today and for the rest of the season will likely determine how this offense goes.
Some mystery today, certainly around UConn. As an independent, they didn't play last year. 637 days since a game. What to expect?
Yeah, I think that's the big question here. Will we see a team that's more robust, or will we see some rust? I think it's going to be a little bit of both. Rarely does an entire team have a chance to redshirt, but that's what's happened for Randy Edsall's crew.
And they used last year as a springboard in the weight room, on the field. Randy Edsall is ready to go. Kalen DeBoer in his second year, and last year they were exciting, but man, did COVID wreck their season. They lost 2 games. They played only 6 times. He can't wait to get going as well. Did I mention it's hot? Yes, it is. Down on the field with us is Lindsay Rhodes. Hi, Lindsay.
Hey, it's not just a little bit hot. It is so hot, you guys. It's like 90 degrees air temperature, but down on the field, what does that feel like? I couldn't even tell you because our thermometer doesn't quite go that high. They knew it was going to be hot. Fresno State has a contingency plan in place in case their players' shoes melt on this turf, because that's something that they've seen happen before. In fact, they brought extra shoes in every size, and they have them on the sideline there just in case that happens. That's not necessarily something that they're expecting to happen. They are expecting their players to cramp up, though, because they practice in this heat. The good thing is they know exactly which players are likely to do that or going to do that, and they know what it takes to get their bodies back.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. 11 a.m. kick here in Fresno to open up this college football season. Fans are still getting in. This is a big tailgate city and a tailgate stadium. Devontae Houston is deep. Cesar Silva getting set to kick it off. And let's get this started. Strong kick. And Houston takes a knee. And so UConn's first snaps in what seems like forever, 637 games. But they've got experience at the quarterback spot with Jack Zergiotis.
Yeah, he was a starter back in the 2019 season, a little bit inconsistent, showed up on campus, had some injuries right away, but coaches have told us this year off has really helped him. He feels more confident. He understands the game. It's slowed down. He's got to make good decisions today. Turnovers will hurt this offense that hadn't been on the field in quite some time.
Kevin Mensah is the running back that will see a lot of time and a lot of hits. A disjointed snap, maybe that's not a surprise after 637 days. David Perales makes the stop for Fresno State. This offense, a blue-collar offense, and Randy Edsall wants to eat clock and run it between the tackles.
It's got to be a little bit of keep away today. Kevin Mensah, we should have had him be the Home Depot do plays smarter because he's so smart, but he's also an effective rusher, a running back. They want to run between the tackles, but look at this. They're huddling. They're taking their time to the line of scrimmage. Keeping their defense off the field is going to be an important part if they're going to win this game.
Second down, 11. Zergiotis had some big games in 2019. To the air, and it's incomplete. Contact. Cam Ross, the intended receiver. Elijah Gates was on his back. There was contact, but no flags. This is a really good defense and a great defensive front.
They were excellent last year getting after the passer. Perales and Mosby, Kwame Jones, those guys are velociraptors coming off that outside edge. It's a third and long situation exactly like this where the strength of the Bulldog defense needs to show itself.
And this is exactly what UConn did not want to see themselves in. Frank Joffrey, their offensive coordinator. Jay Rose, the tight end, in motion. 3rd and 11, 4-man rush. Zergiotis trying to escape, in trouble, hit and dropped. He'll gain maybe 3. Aaron Mosby, the senior, made the stop. And so 3 and out for UConn to start this game.
You're going to see Mosby come off this bottom edge. The same with Perales. It spooks them, and then you just retrace your steps is what you're taught in the first day in D-line room. And they get themselves off the field, picking up with the pass rush where they left off a year ago.
Hayden Kerr, an Australian punter who's never played a college football game, to punt it. Ronnie Rivers, fair catch, 33-yard line, excellent field position. Jake Hayner, it was a short season last year, but a glimpse into what this guy can do.
This guy's the best quarterback Fresno State's had since Derek Carr. I was shocked when I put the tape on and watched him play. It was a truncated season, but he had some periods of brilliance. This guy has some grit. He's got some moxie. He delivers the football extremely accurately with a strong arm, and he's accurate on the run as well. Sitting there in the pocket and being patient is going to be critical, though, if he's going to improve over last season.
They mark it at the 34. Rivers in the backfield with Hayner. Talented wide receivers as well. UConn much bigger and much better up front and in the linebacker spot. And you see the offensive line. On the outside, guys like Jalen Cropper, Josh Kelly, Carrick Wheatfall are all weapons. Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Rivers is teetering on some big all-time school records. Hayner finds Rivers at the 40. Nice move there, but short of the first down. 3rd down and about 4.
That's exactly what we were talking about coming into the game about Ronnie Rivers as a running back. This is just a simple Texas route. This is a play that was a staple to our offense in the West Coast in Green Bay, but he is a threat in the open field. Good job getting him down there, but it brings up a very short and makeable 3 here on 3rd down.
They flex out a tight end, and now Powell's back into the formation. Little toss there. This is Cropper, and UConn had it played perfectly. Good stuff there by Durante Jones, who's playing in his very first college game, the freshman.
This was a historically bad defense back in 2019, and one of the problems they had was an inability to tackle. I like the play call trying to get out to the outside edge, but UConn was all over it. But look at the aggressiveness of Fresno State. They know that the best thing that they have on their side is heat, but also don't be surprised to see Jake Hayner pooch punt. They liked to do that a lot last year.
Well, it's 4th down, long 2. And Kalen DeBoer is going to call a timeout here.
Fresno State had surgery in the spring when they thought they weren't going to have a season, and then all of a sudden the season came back, so it kind of put them in a bad position. Clearly he is healthy and already making an impact here in 21.
All right, 3 possessions, not a lot of yardage. And of course, the turnover on the 3rd touch. Huskies at their own 30. Blitz is coming. Sergiotis in trouble, and he's going down again. Lavelle Bailey, who was the Husky last year, put on some weight, now a linebacker with a sack.
Well, they're going to bring a corner fire off the outside edge, and UConn's just not going to have anybody to pick it up. They bring that second-level linebacker there, and it surprises Sergiotis. Just a great play design, bringing a boundary corner, and it's Bailey from his middle linebacker position, moving over from the Husky, that gets another sack for this tenacious defense.
Loss of 5, 2nd and 15. Quick throw, low throw, and incomplete. Ross tried to pick it off the turf. And it's 3rd down and 15.
It's about the 3rd ball we've seen Sergiotis throw out to the edges that just hasn't had air on it. They've died on them. They've been short. They've been in the turf. The best ball that we've seen him throw was that short crossing route. We saw him miss a double move on the sluggo, the slant and go. Here they are again in another disadvantageous position in an obvious pass situation. With the way that Fresno's rushing the ball, they don't need to be aggressive here.
UConn their own 25.
But they are.
Flags down. That was Carter on the carry.
Being snapped. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
This will be 3rd down and 20 now. Sergiotis, remember, and the UConn coaches really reinforced this with us. It's hard to judge him by that freshman season. He wasn't expected to play. Remember, he had a broken leg in high school. But the problem was the three quarterbacks in front of him got hurt, and he was thrown into the starting lineup. He had his moments, but there were struggles as well. Draw, Carter finds his way out to the 23, and another punt coming up for UConn.
That's back-to-back plays, one that had the penalty and one that didn't on a draw. It's an extremely conservative play call. In the third and long situation, it's clear that this staff just doesn't have confidence in Zergiotis to throw the football, but the rest of his team isn't helping either. This is the third or fourth straight third and long. You're just not going to move the football effectively if you can't have success on first and second down.
This is Joe McFadden who is punting. McFadden is the place kicker. Ronnie Rivers, fair catch. If the name Ron Rivers rings a bell and you're a Mountain West or a Fresno State fan, it's because this guy was an absolute stud here. In fact, the second all-time leading rusher, Ron Rivers, the father of Ronnie Rivers, 6 years in the NFL with the Lions and the Falcons. And he and his son, during the COVID shutdown, did what every father and son do. They hit the weight room.
Yeah, they did.
And they hit it big time.
My man got his yokes on. Now, was he, Ron Rivers' dad, was he a D lineman or a running back? That was a...
That's right. Sarcasm starts late first quarter. I've got that on my board.
Man was jacked.
Hayner with time, had a man open. That was Jalen Cropper over the middle, and it's second down and 10. How long, and there's another look at the guy. Now his dad, 3,473 career yards. Second in school history. Ronnie could be the record holder. He needs one touchdown, Ronnie does, to hold first place all by himself in Fresno State history. 44 career touchdowns, and that's running and receiving.
He's just a dynamic playmaker and just gotten better and better, added weight in the offseason. You watch him run, he's slippery, he's got great vision, runs with a low center of gravity behind his pads, as they say, hard to bring down with arm tackles. Now here's a third and long situation for UConn. It looks like they're going to play some man coverage, see if they bring some heat with it, try to get some pressure on Hayner.
Four-man front for UConn. Hayner to the sideline. That's Wheatfall, and he can't get loose. Run down there by Miles Bell, the sophomore out of Plantation, Florida. And again, in the first quarter, it's been a defensive battle.
It's been a struggle here. Pretty decent protection. Hayner sticking in the pocket, delivers the ball accurately. You'd like to see Wheatfall break out of that. Bell was a little bit late, but that was the sure tackling that this team missed back in 2019. The story of the game so far to me, we've seen Fresno State's defense, but this is a much improved UConn unit that is keeping one of the best offenses a season ago, a top 20 offense, the best passing offense in the Mountain West. They're holding these guys in check.
First quarter has evaporated under the order. Carson King, the punter. Cam Ross, dangerous.
Yes, he is. They'd love a spark here.
Fair catch. He couldn't quite get it. Now he runs it down. He's in trouble. Escapes across the 25. And Ross makes the best out of a bad situation. And Maeva on the special teams. What do the numbers tell you, Aaron Taylor?
Well, so far so good for UConn. They wanted to play keep away, and look at the time of possession. They were dominant in that first quarter. They've also done a good job of limiting the explosive plays for Fresno State offensively. Where they've struggled, though, is up front. They haven't had any room to run. They've given up 2 sacks first quarter. They've also done a good job of limiting the explosive plays for Fresno State offensively. Where they've struggled, though, is up front. They haven't had any room to run. They've given given up 2 sacks, 1 for a touchdown, and they haven't gotten one of their best players on offense, Kevin Mensah, involved at all. Getting these guys settled down, finding a rhythm, getting back to who they are is going to be really important if they're going to do their job on their side of the football of keeping this offense at bay.
It's 120 degrees on the field, so maybe it's not a mystery as to why we're having technical difficulties with the referee's microphone. His little box there is melting, apparently.
Might have been a signal for a fair catch and then tried to return it. Picked it up off the bounce.
It is. It won't cost them in terms of 1st and 10 because that's what it is. UConn on the ground. This is Nate Carter. He's the speed guy in the backfield. And Aaron Mosby again makes the hit.
It's been interesting. Nathan Carter getting more role, more touches than Kevin Mensah. Kevin Mensah has been their player that's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, would be the first player in program history to do 3. And he's been non-existent so far in this first half. He has 3 touches, but it's really been Carter that they've been going to when they want to get things going on the ground.
He's a freshman. Brian Bruton in the backfield along with Carter. And I think UConn's coaching staff on the sideline didn't like what they saw. They're going to call a timeout. 1 minute in, second quarter. Fresno State up 7-0.
Oh my, with Chase Freedom Unlimited, I earn all this cash back? Oh, I gotta tell everyone. Hey Rita, you can earn 3% on dining, including takeout.
Bon appetit.
Hey Kim, you earn 5% on travel purchase through Chase.
Way ahead of you.
Hey Neil, you can earn 3% at drugstores.
Buddy, I'm right here. Why are you yelling?
Because that's what I do. You're always earning with 5% cash back on travel purchase through Chase. 3% at drugstores, 3% on dining, including takeout, and 1.5% on everything else you buy. Chase, make more of what's yours.
UConn football, 2nd down and 8. And the Huskies on their own 20-yard line. So far, the heat doesn't seem to have affected UConn or Fresno State. They are stopping play. There's you can see the bottom of your screen. There it is, the medical cart positioning itself.
Good heads up by the officials there to make sure everybody stays safe.
Yeah, we've been told that a fan had some heat illness, which it's hot, and these fans right now are, a tip of the cap to them because they're here in number and loud. UConn looking for some yardage. Mensah across the 25 to the 26. Down below is Lindsay Rhodes. Lindsay, how is the heat?
Well, I am struggling. I walked up about to the 20th row to talk to Ronnie Rivers' dad, and I almost passed out. It is so hot. I'm so surprised that these players aren't gathering around the wind machines there on the field. That's the second fan we've seen leave, by the way.
How's the heat in the seats when you went up there?
About the same. Pretty bad. Also a note, this is the first time UConn's coaching staff has worn shorts in as long as anyone can remember on the sideline. They have a strict pants rule.
That's good work. All right, 3rd down 2. Tough handoff, and Mensah is caught. David Perales, one of the defensive captains.
Perales is so disruptive. You don't want to be able to.
Features the Dolphins and Cincinnati. It's the final tune-up before the regular season. It's the NFL on CBS. NFL rosters populated with Mountain West players. Look at the quarterbacks up top. Josh Allen, Derek Carr, Jordan Love. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams was terrific here at Fresno State. Colorado State has 2 really good ones in the league. And, of course, Boise State well represented as well.
And Jake Haener would certainly like to add his name to the mix as you take a look at Derek Carr, number 4 there, and his brother David, who both had pretty dang good, decent careers. Derek's still playing. Haener, coming into this game, looked like an NFL quarterback, but he hadn't looked that way so far in this first quarter.
First and 10, play action. Wide open, caught there. Josh Kelly, 40. Josh Kelly out of bounds.
Josh Kelly.
There's your big play.
Just the sort of thing you need to settle yourself down. That ball was on the money. That's the Jake Haener that showed up on tape all season long, and that's the sort of big play that UConn cannot let happen.
37 yards, movement, and whistles. And UConn is offside. I believe that's what he was saying. All right, big play for Fresno State.
Here he is right here. Just vacated the void in the zone defense, left all alone. That's a breakdown on that backside, and Haener and Kelly made him pay.
5-yard penalty, 1st and 5. Rivers, right side, bounces outside, cuts in to the 18-yard line. That's a gain of 8.
That's a great bounce by Rivers. It's gummed up inside. This is a counter play right there. He's setting him up and runs through the outstretched hands of Ugwak. Got a nice gain there.
Rivers left side to the edge, to the 5, and out of bounds. Flag down. Back at the 16.
This offensive line starting to lather up now. Getting UConn to run horizontally. Rivers is being patient and then showing you his explosion to get through the crease.
That would be holding, and that's going to bring this back. The officials are West Coast Big 12 blend for this game.
The holding penalty moves the ball back to the 26-yard line.
And Rivers comes out for a quick rest.
See his disappointment there. Those are killers, especially when he's so close to breaking the all-time Fresno State record.
His understudy's pretty good as well, Jordan Mims, and he's in the backfield now. This is turned into 1st and 18. Haener sidearms it. Nice catch and escape, and it's Mims inside the 10, short of the 1st down. They mark it at the 9.
Well, they take out Ronnie Rivers, but they still use the running back in the way that they like to use him. A missed tackle there, and Mims makes them pay. He was a playmaker against New Mexico a year ago, and you can see his speed there.
Up-tempo, corner shot, touchdown, Ty Jones. That's the Jake Haener you saw on tape last year.
What an excellent route, beautifully thrown ball if there had been coverage there, but poor Trey Wortham. He got shook out of his shoes the first time and looked like he was falling for 5 or 6 seconds. That's the one that he's going to want back. But this is the Fresno State offense we expected to see.
Haener to Kelly set it up. Jordan
for about 5 or 6 seconds. But there was a little business afterwards. You see Jake Haener there celebrating with Jones. And 94 Nick Harris, the freshman defensive lineman, comes over and cheap shots the Bulldogs quarterback. You see some players start to go after him. Better mark my word, that may come back to hurt old UConn later on in the ball game.
Point of emphasis this year is still unsportsmanlike or taunting. No flag was thrown there. Fresno State's offense in the first quarter had 32 total yards, 69 yards on 4 plays on that drive for the touchdown. Devontae Houston does not bring it out. And UConn gets the football back, but down now by 2 touchdowns.
See another elbow right there, and the coaches are starting to talk to UConn. It's been a long time since this team has been on the football field. They were juiced up in pregame, feeling it. The band was here. You're on the road. It's us against the world. But they get down by 7 points and get down by 14 points, and all of a sudden the frustration starts to come out. And maybe nobody's been more frustrated than the Husky quarterback, Zach Zergiotis. Must mouth that one, didn't it?
That's all right. It's early.
Yes, week 0.
I occasionally have to unfold my tongue as well.
Sound it out.
Zergiotis rolling. Quick little fire there. Jace Medlock, one of the tight ends. And a gain of maybe 3. The offense really hasn't helped UConn's defense. UConn's defense has been really good in this one, but the offense hasn't moved the football. And remember, 7 of those points went on a fumble by Zergiotis and Aaron Mosby's return for a touchdown.
Yeah, I like that play call there. Those shallow crossing routes seem to be the throw that Zergiotis is most accurate with.
Mensa in the backfield. One thing UConn does not want to do is play fast in this one. They've played at their pace. That's a nice little pattern. Cam Ross across the middle, and he has enough for the first down. Trying to get Zergiotis a little rhythm would be, I think, a good thing for Frank Joffrey and the Husky offense. And here we go.
I like this move. The tempo gets him out of his head and stops thinking and lets them just play football.
Mensa trying to bounce outside. Tyler Mello, the sophomore there, to hit him first.
It's like trying to shake the cobwebs out, right? You just go out and play. You don't think. And when you have a quarterback that maybe he's worried about what he's doing, getting him some high percentage stuff and trying to use some tempo there isn't a bad strategy. You'd like to get more than half a yard, though, when you do it.
You know, to simulate the speed of game, the Huskies really, after a whole year off last year, went good on good, ones on ones. Number 1 defense, number 1 offense, a lot in fall camp leading up to this, their opener. Zergiotis on 2nd and 9 to the sideline. Morriso, that's another nice gain there. It's going to bring up 3rd down and about 3.
Just a nice short hitch. That was one of the routes that offensive coordinator Frank Joffrey talked to us about. That's a long throw from that far side of the field, but Joffrey's got to dial some things up. He's struggling trying to help his quarterback out the best that he can. I'm surprised we haven't seen more 12 personnel and trying to run the football than we have. They've gotten away from it, but they've just got to be able to get in some sort of rhythm and convert on 3rd.
Nathan Carter in the backfield. Zergiotis, a wobbler, and it's broken up and incomplete. It was in the hands of Cam Ross, but Justin Houston was right on the back of Ross.
It's just a bunch route where they're all to the right side. You see Ross in motion, and then boom, he's just going to settle down in the zone. He should have caught it. He was trying to turn and run. It was tipped at the last moment. That might have thrown it off for him to be able to see. That's why the ball wobbled as it came out, but that's still a catch that you'd want 7 to make. Huskies punt again.
And again, it's
out of the 2-time captain.
Haener started his career at the University of Washington. He is a Northern California guy, Monte Vista High School in Danville, California.
Go Spartans, De La Salle alum here.
That's right. Well, Alhambra Bulldog here from the East Bay. Haener scrambling, and he's pushed out of bounds, and hopefully he didn't run into Lindsey, who's down there and has more. Lindsey?
Nope, I'm all good. He did run into the Carr brothers, though, this summer. He went down to Bakersfield to train with David and Derek, and I reached out to David to get his impressions. He said he kind of reminds him of Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback. They're both not really big guys. They throw with a lot of the same mannerisms, move around a lot of the same ways, throw from the same platforms. And how about this to really paint a good picture? He said he played quarterback like a shortstop.
He can turn, too, get it up and out. He does have a very quick release.
I like that. Haener gives it. And Lindsey and Aaron, you guys both have NFL ties. The guys that he was behind at Washington, he played in just 4 games at Washington, did Jake Haener. But the guys he played behind, Jake Browning and Jacob Eason, just faced each other last week in an NFL preseason game. So he wasn't playing not because he wasn't any good, but because the 2 guys in front of him are now on NFL rosters.
And that's what we see a lot of in college. If a quarterback doesn't get a chance to play right away, they move on quickly, and Haener's taking advantage of that.
Ronnie Rivers running hard. Trey Wortham made the stop for UConn. And the football sits at the 39-yard line.
This is the strength of Ronnie Rivers. Right there, he's met at the line of scrimmage, breaks another arm tackle there. It takes 3 defenders to bring him down. 1, 2, 3, and then finally, it's Trey Wortham, the guy that got beat on that touchdown, that brings him down after a nice game. The Bulldogs know that they can throw vertically, but they'd love to establish this running game and take control up front, especially with the depleted depth of the Huskies.
1st and 10. This is Cropper. Cropper with a nice move. And a good pick up there. Cropper to the 48-yard line. That's a 12-yard gain. Durante Jones made the stop.
Cropper has so much explosion, and this effectively just ends up being a sweep. So you see the entire defense running laterally. You hit a couple of these, you hit a couple of screens as we go down here to the end of the second quarter. These are body blows that can really take advantage of a defense that's on the road in the heat.
Quick out of the huddle. Rivers lined up as a wide receiver. They got a big offensive lineman who's going to set a pick there. Great catch at the 35. Flags are down. Kelly with the ball. Kelly to the 5. Kelly to the end zone. But 2 flags sit at the 34. You may have had an illegal pick. And it looks like this one's coming back. The Fresno State sideline is not happy.
Great play design there.
Dante Bull. That is offensive interference. Dante Bull, a left tackle, was actually split out when that pattern and that play started.
It's going to be a pick right there with the ball in the air. If that ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, you can block before Kelly catches it. But because it's not, that's a great call. Rivers is trying to make a play just a little early there. And UConn gets lucky because that was a great play design.
For a moment, I thought there was going to be a bubble screen to an offensive tackle, and my partner would have jumped out of the booth over there.
Oh, buddy, that's a lot of pressure on a big guy.
At the 37, Mims is in the backfield. Mims is going to get it. You saw that shot of Kalen DeBoer. When we spoke to him yesterday, look, it's tough to tell who's who and who's going to be good coming off of last year. But Fresno State wasn't real happy where they ended up in the preseason poll in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, they're not near the top in their division, and they think that they should have been higher, and they're ready to prove it.
There's no doubt about that. And we asked him about it. I said, Coach, I kind of get a sense that, like, there's an element of some unfinished business. And he's like, yeah, man, he kind of hemmed and hawed. And he was like, yeah, it is. Like, but it's not because of what we didn't do last year. It's about us living up to our potential, and we're ready to do that.
Second down. Good catch and good coverage. Eric Brooks in the pattern. Here is the preseason poll. Now, what a year it was last year. San Jose State had a storybook run. Incredible turnaround in that program. Nevada has an NFL quarterback and an NFL wide receiver in Dubs. Boise State is always going to be up there. Wyoming is good again. San Diego State could well win that West. And there's Fresno State sitting 4th in the West.
This team is entirely too talented to be 4th, in my opinion. I think they're very much a dark horse to win, especially with the way they're playing much better defensively.
Hayner, little middle screen, ball's on the floor, but it's incomplete. Swenson with the hit.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. 4th down.
Rivers never held it. So it's incomplete, and a nice sequence for UConn defensively.
Heck of a job there that time by number 6, Ian Swenson, a former defensive back, is just going to get there. Beautiful play call with the middle screen, but he was not fooled, and he was trailing Rivers beautifully. Another excellent job to force the punt.
Now, just looking at those preseason polls, especially in the West, this is as deep as I can remember the Mountain West Conference being in a long time.
There's some great teams. The West is going to be unbelievable this year. I think the biggest knock against this Fresno State team is their road schedule, man. At Oregon, at UCLA, at Hawaii, Wyoming.
Down. Then condensation is a beer's natural way of saying, drink me. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer.
Coming up, halftime. We've got the halftime report powered by Ram Trucks. Adam Zucker, Rick Neuheisel, Brian Jones in the studio. Latest news from around college football. Look at Nebraska, Illinois, Hawaii, UCLA, all week 0 games. And while we're at it, how about a Ram AP top 10? Aaron Taylor, your Fighting Irish, come in at number 9.
How about that? But I think the story of Cincinnati being one spot above them is intriguing. Group of 5 team to be ranked that high returns basically their entire team. That's noteworthy. Obviously, Iowa State's getting a lot of love, Texas A&M. But number 3 versus number 5 in the Chicken Sandwich Bowl. Georgia playing Clemson, both their quarterbacks having NIL deals. Some good talent, some good games early.
Jack Zergiotis. And that's a wise decision to unload that. Cam Ross was in the vicinity.
Some good talent, some good games early.
Jack Zergiotis. And that's a wise decision to unload that. Cam Ross was in the vicinity. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Incompletion on 3rd down or 1st down is a challenge because it gives you a 2nd and 10, and your chances of converting are really problematic. But you take a look at the ball control. UConn started out this game great. 10.5 minutes to 4.5, but this second quarter it's been about even because they haven't had any sort of sustained success offensively. They've got to get something going here because Fresno State starts the second half with the ball.
Zergiotis with time over the middle, and he just missed Nathan Carter.
Beautiful play design, bringing Nathan Carter out of the backfield. Just a wheel route in the middle of the field. He's there. He can hit his head on the goalpost, but another off-target, overthrown ball by the quarterback.
UConn looked like they had a big hitter open early in the first quarter. Zergiotis overthrew Cam Ross. There was a holding call on that throw, but still it does prove a point for Frank Joffrey and UConn. They can get people open deep. They've had it twice now.
Cameron Ross, my gosh, giving him an opportunity to take another shot is going to be smart, as I think UConn wants to talk about this.
30 seconds in length.
We were talking earlier about time of possession and talk about how UConn wanted to play keep away. Before the game, I was talking to Pat Hill, who's right there on the left, obviously the storied coach here, and he said, man, I tell you what, ball possession's important, but it doesn't always work. And he started telling me about the time that his Bulldog team went on the road to face Brian Kelly's Cincinnati club. They held the ball for 47 minutes, Fresno State did. Cincinnati had 5 possessions and still won the ball game, 28-14, because, as Pat Hill pointed out, we turned the ball over twice, and that killed us. So holding the ball doesn't mean necessarily as much as what you do with it when you got it. UConn just hasn't been able to muster much.
Blitz comes, Zergiotis with time, strong throw, almost intercepted. Great coverage on that corner by Braylon Lux. How about this guy, the sophomore Lux, just kind of walked on and all of a sudden found himself starting last year and then starring last year. Now he has a scholarship, and I think his name is going to be one that you see as this season goes along a lot.
No question about that. And the thing you're noticing with this defense, the cornerbacks are really challenging the number 1 receivers, the one closest to the sidelines, just playing really tight, nice. Challenging the number 1 receivers, the one closest to the sidelines, just playing really tight, nice coverage.
Rivers a fair catch, makes it at the 39. It's the toughest sport on dirt, and it's from Fort Worth Tractor Supply Company Invitational. Catch PBR Unleash the Beast tonight, 8 Eastern on CBS Sports Network. Just the sights and the sounds, the smells, all of college football came rushing at us when we walked into this stadium this morning. This was an 11 a.m. kickoff, breakfast, tailgating, and the fans are back. And as you heard Lindsey talk about, Lindsey Rhodes went up into the stands to talk to Ronnie Rivers' dad. It's hot in the stands, just as hot on the field. And it was 117 on the field to start this day. Hayner's throw on the money. Rivers! That's the record! all-time touchdown leader in Fresno State history. Dad approves. 61 yards.
Wow. We talked about him being a dual threat receiver off the top of the show, and there it was right there. Look at that smile on Dad, man.
Dad left this school as the second leading rusher all time, and now his son has scored more touchdowns than any Bulldog ever.
He went from one of to the most productive player in terms of scoring in Bulldog history on a simple wheel route out of the backfield. Now there's a little bit of pressure, but Haener delivers the football in stride to Ronnie Rivers, who makes a great catch and run for the touchdown. That's the sort of accuracy that Haener's known for, and this is the sort of explosion that 20 has done his entire career.
His dad ran for nearly 3,500 yards in his career, played in the NFL for 6 seasons. But this may be an even bigger thrill that he ever had as a player, just to watch his son and all that he has accomplished. And to open up this season with a touchdown catch, 21-0 lead for Fresno State.
Man, he talked so much about how much it meant to him to come back and to have this second chance to come back to the team. What a fitting way for him to start the season.
Well, remember, the coaches talked about it as well, how much it meant that he walked back in the door and said, I want one more year of this.
They were talking about him giving that really impassioned speech, why he came back, the similarities to the way that it was in 2018. And you see that smile, and take a look at that. The all-time total touchdown leader, the record holder, Ronnie Rivers. You want your best players to be your best people, and that's absolutely the case with 20.
And remember, we talked about respect for this Fresno State team. He was the only player from Fresno State that was named on the All-Mountain West team. Now, I think part of that is showing you just how deep and how good the Mountain West is this year. But that's a bulletin board thing as well for Fresno State.
There's no question. David Perales should be on there. Kevin Atkins may have a chance. Aaron Mosby for sure. Tyson Maeva, without question, on the defensive side. Jalen Cropper offensively. I think Jake Haener has a real good shot to make some noise, even though there's some other good quarterbacks around this conference. Ronnie Rivers, we've seen his explosion. He's not going to be the only name in the postseason all-conference team, and that's really the one that matters.
UConn trying to get something going here in the final minutes of the first half. Four-man rush, Zergiotis, crossing route. That's Ross, and he fights his way out of bounds. He had an escort there. That was Cale Sanders, a freshman for Fresno State.
Those short crossing routes are about the only thing he's been able to hit accurately. Deep outs from the far hash have been a problem because of the tight coverage and some inaccuracy. They've got to try to take another shot to Cameron Ross, number 7. Defensive coordinator Inge told us for the Bulldogs that every time you see him play, 7 gets behind us, gets behind somebody. We can't let him do it.
Carter's got a couple. Evan Bennett made the stop. UConn does not have a timeout left.
No, they don't.
Obviously, it's your first game in 637 days. There are going to be some guys lining up in the wrong spots, but they've burned all 3 of their first half timeouts. Zergiotis, it's a nice catch. More so, there was contact as the ball arrived. He holds it, but it's 3rd down. Clock is running. Ball's right at midfield.
More worried about yards per play at this point than you are about the clock because of where they are on the field.
Blitz comes. Zergiotis with time. Another deep shot. Ross, there's contact. There's no flag. And it's 4th down and 3 right at midfield.
You understand taking the shot there at 3rd and 3. But it's not a good decision. They're going to have to punt now. You'd like to see a high percentage pass and keep the chains moving. and at the very least get tackled in bounds and take a little bit of time away. There's 2 minutes left. From a play calling standpoint, that's about the worst outcome that they could have had, because they don't get the first down, and now they're going to punt to an offense that just hit them over the head, over the top pretty easily.
Low percentage on third down for UConn. They're 1 of 9. End over end. Rivers, who does everything. Catches passes, runs between the tackles, bounces outside, returns punts.
And he's a willing blocker in pass protection as well, but we saw him early when they were trying to run the football up inside. He can get north and south, but it's his receiving ability that really separates him. He creates some mismatch issues coming out of the backfield on a simple wheel route, gets into the hole of that defense. They were trying to play deep. Footing been an issue early for UConn, and it certainly was on that touchdown pass as well on that last one, but credit Haener for sticking in that pocket and delivering the football accurately to help 20 break the record.
Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, has lined Rivers up everywhere. He's top of your screen in a 5-receiver set.
Be interested to see how aggressive Fresno State is here with the way this first half has gone. My guess is they're going to push it.
Little crossing route, Cropper with the catch in space, bounces off a tackle. Cropper is outside. He's 40, couple to beat, 20 for Cropper. He's gonna go! Touchdown! 86 yards. What were you talking about there right before the snap? Conservative?
Not at all. Well, they haven't been moving the football very effectively, so you want to end on a high note. So that was just a simple catch and run, but showing you the explosion of Cropper. But the thing that stood out to me is Josh Kelly and the effort his teammate in the wide receiver room gave him to get downfield to make the block. It's going to be Cropper coming inside here on the football. This is a naked situation, empty. 5 wide receivers. Comes from that backside there, just a simple catch and run. Boom, 3 defenders there. All bounce off, none make the tackle, maybe feeling sorry for themselves. But look right out there out in front, number 11, Josh Kelly. I love to see this effort. There's only one football. Wide receivers are typically cocky and arrogant and always want the ball. Look at the effort by Kelly to get down here to make the block so his teammate can get into the end zone. I bring that up because the coaches told us about how tight-knit this team is. He's never been around a wide receiver room that was so close and so talented. And he said, I think the sky's the limit for this group this year. And that smile says it all.
Now, the other sideline, UConn hung tough for a quarter. They did a lot of things right early, especially defensively. But the inability to move the football is really hurting them right now. Because if you contrast the first quarter to the second quarter, the numbers are just an avalanche for Fresno State.
It's been dominant. I mean, Fresno State, it was an early start, 11 a.m. out here on the West Coast. They should have been more used to it than UConn. But they clearly woke up that second period on. That's the sort of explosion that we saw all last season. Jake Haener threw for 337 yards a game last year on plays like we just saw.
UConn does not have a timeout. Flags down. The play clock went to 0, but that may have been a malfunction.
Delay of game.
You were right, Rich.
It was, well,
it was a malfunction of the execution of this offense. Now, I got to be honest now, like, this is not the way you want to start off. With no timeouts, it makes it hard to push the ball upfield. But you also have to play a little defense here and make sure that Fresno State doesn't get this ball back for too much time.
Sergi Otis in traffic. Incomplete. Ball on the ground. Nathan Carter, the intended receiver.
And that's the challenge. You want to move the ball downfield, but an incompletion stops the clock. making matters worse is the fact that the Bulldogs get the ball to start the second half because they deferred, winning the toss at the beginning of the game. And you just look at the body language of this UConn team. All of a sudden it feels quite a bit hotter than it did at kickoff.
Now, Mike, like most teams across the country, a lot of starters are back. Some super seniors, and certainly for UConn, guys that have been in the program for a while. So there's experience on both sides of the ball. Lavelle Bailey with the hit. But this Fresno State defense last year was really, really good. They were one of the nation's best in sacks, one of the nation's best in tackles for loss. And Fresno State may be taking a timeout. They want the football back here with third down and 1.5 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, not surprised to see this play call at all. It helps avoid a turnover. Great job there once again by Lavelle Bailey, who's really seeming to be enjoying his middle linebacker position. See the defensive coordinator there, Inge. He was fired up, man. He was feeling good about this group. You're right. There's a lot of good pieces that they brought to the table last year, Rich, but it was stopping the run that was really a problem. 212 yards per game. They were 10th in the conference, over 5 yards per carry, and that really showed up later on in the year, especially against New Mexico when they almost gave up 300 rushing yards, 6 yards per carry, and 6 rushing touchdowns. That was towards the end of the year. There were some COVID issues there. They had 2 games canceled, another one canceled again, and they just weren't feeling it. But that was really the only thing missing. But with the addition of Maeva, Leonard Payne, and some others, I think this is going to be a team that is going to make some hay in this conference this season.
Remember, temperatures on the field and in the stands, well over 110 degrees. So the folks that are here are hanging in.
They were holding the clock up to add a couple seconds, but remember, they took a timeout, so the clock still stopped.
Oof. Wow. That screen blown up. And that's Deron Bland, the senior, the transfer from Sacramento State.
I think the thing that's maybe stood out to me the most this entire game is how well these cornerbacks have been playing. The way that they trigger, the way that they respond, the second that the ball gets to the receiver's hands, they're making the tackle.
Just 6 games last year for Fresno State. Obviously, no games at all for UConn. So these guys have been waiting for it. And there's a lot of players for Fresno State, including 3 of their 4 captains, who've never played a home game in this stadium with fans. And look, I know the heat has probably kept the crowd down, but when this place is full, and it will get full this year on a night game, especially when you get into Mountain West play, this is a loud, intimidating, rowdy place.
Yeah, and I just have to say this. That was extremely poor clock management by UConn on this series. They're going to give the ball back to Fresno State with about 1:15.
But a great punt will help, right?
No doubt.
My goodness. Joe McFadden blasts that one. Explosive plays for Fresno State in the second quarter.
Well, we really came into this game expecting them to do some things, and it was Aaron Mosby off that outside edge with the sack strip score, Mushmouth. And then it was the play-catching ability of Ronnie Rivers showing you his effectiveness out of the backfield. The difference, in my opinion, though, was Hayner's accuracy, hitting receivers in stride, Jalen Cropper taking one to the house. This is the sort of things that they like to do. These last 2 drives, 2 plays, 147 yards and a couple touches. That ain't bad.
It's a 53-yard punt. Mims is in the backfield. And Hayner and the Bulldogs have 1:12 to work. They have 1 timeout left. Plenty of time. Almost picked. That was in and out of the hands of Josh Kelly.
I think Hayner was trying to hit Cropper. The ball was thrown a little bit late, and that allowed Josh Kelly to come over and try and get the football. See him, he's tracking left. He throws the football. And there was Jalen Cropper, who was in the area, but you see the frustration one way or another. That's a ball that Josh Kelly should have caught.
Second down 10. Wheatfall gets out of bounds and has the first down.
Another great block that time by Josh Kelly, and good decision that time by Jake Haener to check the football down on the short crossing route, get the first down and stop the clock.
Something you work on in the summer, in the spring, obviously in the fall, is a 2-minute drill. And Fresno State in one right now. Haener, middle, caught there. That's Brooks. And Brooks has a first down into UConn territory. Clock stops as they move the chains.
They're really finding the holes in the seams of this defense. Beautifully delivered football right in stride. He also had Carrick Wheatfall, the #1 receiver, along the left side as well.
Haener back to work. Sideline to Kelly. Out of bounds he goes. And that's a gain of about 8 yards.
This is a great display of pitch and catch. Fresno State again gets this ball back to start the second half. They're out of timeouts. They've got to get to the 33-yard line to be within their place kicker Cesar Silva's range. But they're not thinking field goal here, Rich.
Bulldog coaching staff use words like playmaker, creative, great feet when they talk about Jake Haener. Just a small snapshot last year in those 6 games. Great second quarter here. Another bullet in traffic, and it's caught. It's Brooks underneath the pile. And the 2 UConn defenders are both down. Somehow Brooks emerged with the football and the catch. Ian Swenson, Durante Jones. And let's hope they're okay.
Yeah, no doubt. Looks like that was some self-inflicted wounds there with the contact, and Eric Brooks was able to squirt out of there. The coach is really praising Eric Brooks. Great hands catch, great concentration, but he just ducks because he loses his footing too. There's no question that with the heat, both of these teams, particularly on the fringes out by the numbers, are having footing issues. It's getting really hot and therefore slippery because this synthetic turf is starting to heat up, and that's what caused that collision, but also allowed Eric Brooks to avoid the contact there.
Jones is on his way to the sideline. Swenson is up as well. If you were with us earlier, Lindsey Rhodes had a terrific hit down below and informed us that Fresno State, because of the heat and the temperature on the turf, they have reserved shoes in a secure location so that if anything melts or comes apart, because shoes will come apart at this temperature, they've got a backup set of shoes for everybody down on the field. And that's not good news there, seeing Swenson being helped to the locker room. 32 seconds left. Fresno State just getting into field goal range. Cesar Silva's longest in his career is 48 yards. And so that's right in a sweet spot for him.
Your whole offense is wide open right now. Any play call you want, you can take.
And Haener has had a lot of time. Good escapability, throws on the road. Wow, right on the money. Zane Pope. I think every wide receiver in uniform has touched it so far. His first catch, Pope is a senior.
One of the things that I noticed watching tape getting ready for this game about Jake Haener is how accurately he is to his right or left on the move. You just saw it there.
That's Pope again. And he's short of the first down. They have a timeout. There's 10 seconds left.
Got to clock it here. Got to clock it before 3 seconds. Great management there by Haener.
And that's my bad. The scoreboard here has a timeout for the Bulldogs.
Haener downs the ball.
I mean, I know I'm not seeing things. It's still sitting up there on the scoreboard. But without the timeout, you're right. The clock comes at 3 seconds, and Silva has a chance to get himself on the scoreboard for the first time. He was 5 of 5 last year. His long was 36.
But they needed, he said they had too much juice coming out of the gate. They just needed to settle down.
All right, well, hang in there, and we'll get back down to you quickly. Kalen DeBoer and Fresno State last year played just 6 games. They were 3-3, and they had 2 games canceled because of COVID. And of course, UConn, if you're just joining us, did not play at all last year. They are an independent, and they've got a pretty good schedule this year with teams from the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the American, and the Mountain West. And you saw the temperatures when we went down to Lindsay, and it affects not only the players but also the fans here. It's hot in the stands. Most of these stands are metal benches with backs. And so 11 o'clock start, but you know what? Just to hear the band, to see the students, to feel the vibe, and all of that in this stadium is a reminder of what we missed last year.
Yeah, no doubt. And I got to be honest, the temperature on the field is about 120. The temperature underneath my sport coat's about 120 as well. The baby powder is under duress.
And if you're just joining us, an all-time record for Fresno State touchdowns. Ronnie Rivers, the senior running back, not on the ground but through the air. This a catch and run, and the all-time record is 45th career touchdown.
61-yard wheel route as you see his dad fist pump celebrating. He was a tough inside runner when he was here, but he went from one of to the most productive offensive player this school's ever had in terms of scoring. Just an incredible player, but also an incredible person, a captain, elected to come back, really has his eyes set on getting another championship like they did when Kalen DeBoer was here back in 2018.
All right, the Bulldogs want to replicate that second quarter. Ronnie Rivers with the carry. UConn's defense in the first quarter looked really good. Delmont Gordine makes the stop there for the Huskies, but the offense didn't move the ball, kept the defense on the field, and in the second quarter, they broke.
Yeah, they settled themselves down, and I was joking when we came onto the air about them waking up. They were too amped, and the coaching, both staffs talked to us about worried about that early on, and it seemed to affect the offense much more than the defense for both teams, but it was Fresno State that settled down first, and they haven't stopped since.
Taken down in 8, Rivers. And I think if you just hopped into this game and you're watching, you think to yourself, well, it's the same old UConn from 2019. I don't think so. I think this UConn bunch is going to be much better than 2019. A lot of these players stayed in the program, and for the last year and a half, they've been in the weight room. They've improved their skills, and I think they've advanced as a program. Time will tell. They've got Holy Cross and Purdue at home their next couple games, and they've got to have to play here in Fresno against a very good Mountain West team. Painter, that's Powell's, the tight end, and he's caught and dropped, but not after he's got a first down. DJ Morgan made the stop, and the Bulldogs move the sticks.
Yeah, I want to pick up where you left off, Rich, talking about this UConn team. Powell's is one of those backup tight ends, a playmaker, more of an inline tight end that they like to use blocking, but showing his receiving there.
Painter on the mark again. 8 different Bulldogs caught footballs in the first half, and that's Eric Brooks, the junior.
This is one of the deepest wide receiver rooms, if not the deepest, in the Mountain West Conference. And Eric Brooks is a guy the coaches raved about and said he can fill a lot of gaps for us, play him anywhere. Outside, on the slot, X, Z. We can use him a lot of different ways as we see Wortham getting tended to and being looked at. There's a lot of explosive talent on this Bulldog team. And I'll go back to what you were saying about UConn. Like, this is a program, Rich, that has to develop talent. They're not going to get 4- and 5-star players, so they got to bring guys in and develop them. Well, that's what Randy Edsall got last year. All that time off was directly spent in player development, strength and conditioning, and increasing their football intelligence. And when you look at this roster, they've got 8 seniors on this team. That means 2/3 of the roster have 3 or 4 years of eligibility left. This is a team that's building for the future, but basically hoping for the best right now. So if you're a Husky fan, don't get discouraged. It's going to take some time to turn this thing around. But last year was really a silver lining.
Rivers right side, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage. Jackson Mitchell made the stop. One of the things that UConn has going for it, they have a great indoor practice facility, weight room, football offices in stores. So they've got the complex and the facility. The challenge is going to be scheduling. They've done a really nice job this year and in future years. And obviously making their way through the college football world as an independent. Rivers trying to bounce out. Good pursuit by UConn. That's excellent stuff. Diamond Harrell making a hit. Pierce Devon was there as well.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on this UConn defensive line in particular. That's really good pursuit and flattening things out there. Coming up for a tackle for loss, being a 3rd and long.
And they're missing 2 key parts to that defensive line.
Derek Watts and Kevon Jones not suiting up today. Those would be huge additions when those guys get a chance to come back. It's hot, but there's some talent up front on the defensive line for this UConn team. Been really impressed with Travis Jones, number 57.
They're down 13. Hader to the sideline. And that's Josh Kelly who makes the catch. He's just short of the first down. We'll see what the Bulldogs do here. I mean, with a 31-0 lead, and now the football inside UConn territory, you would think they're going to go for it.
Yeah, they are, and they're bringing Mims back out. Remember, Mims had that 17-yard touchdown that they ran on a flare out of the backfield. They blitzed from his side, from the boundary side, and he was up the sideline and into the end zone.
Brought a couple tight ends in, Juan Rodriguez and Raymond Powell's.
It sure does look like a running formation, though, doesn't it?
Play action. Hainer avoids one hit, scrambles, has the first down, and lunges forward to the 38-yard line.
Oh, no. Okay. There we go. That was scary for a second there.
That's the universal symbol for cramping.
Shake it up on the play.
And that's good news.
Don't want to speculate, but, man, you see a lot of times guys go down real quick when they're landing funny.
You hope it's cramping.
Certainly looks to be the case there now.
Logan Fife, the redshirt freshman, is the backup quarterback.
He's a local boy here from California, and Tracy.
You can hydrate all you want. You can do everything to avoid cramping, but it's 100 as we've seen already, as Lindsey Rhodes has described and deftly illustrated. It's 120 plus on the field. It looked like he started cramping right when he got past the line of scrimmage.
I'm telling you, man, I've had full body cramps, especially in the early part of training camp or the first couple games when it's hot like this. You're right. You can drink as much water as you want on game day. You really have to start your hydration plan days in advance so that you're hydrated and properly, like a sponge that's absorbed as much water as you can, because that sponge is going to get squeezed out here on game day.
Referee mic check. Referee mic check. 1, 2.
Here comes Logan Fife. And so Logan Fife, a redshirt freshman, hops right in. Tracy, California. This is his college debut.
I'll be honest, this is probably something we were going to see pretty early after this first drive anyway, if this game continues the way that it's going to be. So this is a heck of an opportunity for Logan Fife. Get Hainer to the sidelines, make sure he gets hydrated. Get tended to. But this is an offense that still needs to operate at a high level. So great opportunity for the redshirt freshman here.
There is a great legacy at this position, at this school, going all the way back to Jeff Tedford, Kevin Sweeney, Billy Volek. Of course, Trent Dilfer went here, won a Super Bowl. The Carr brothers, David and Derek. Rivers out of bounds. Durante Jones knocked him out.
Great change-up with the play call there. Usually when you have the back offset to that side, it can 9 times out of 10 is going to be a zone read to the right. That was a naked pitch to the left to help keep UConn honest.
First throw there from Fife. And Eric Brooks. And it's incomplete.
Intended for Zane Pope. Incomplete.
Kind of feel like the energy kind of went out when Hainer went down, right? Like the stadium's a little bit quieter, not as much juice. You have a dropped ball there. These are the points in games where coaches really want guys to lock in and execute. Now, this is 3rd and short. This is something you can convert. And if you're smart, you hand that ball off to 20 and let him punch it up in there.
3rd and 1. Rivers inside the 25, and that's a first down. Last year, 2020, for Kalen DeBoer, no spring, no summer, limited fall camp, and then only 6 games, with 2 of them, 2 games canceled because of COVID. This year, full spring, full summer, full fall, and a 12-game schedule. So you've got a lot of talent, and you've got a full year of preparation for Fresno State. Fife gets to the sideline. This is last year. In their opening game, they lost to Hawaii, had 4 turnovers, won their next 3. San Jose State, San Diego State, those were big games because San Jose State won the conference. San Diego State's always good. Those were canceled. And, of course, Nevada really good. And then the loss to New Mexico.
Those 2 games in the middle that got canceled that really seemed to knock this team off of its feet. They also had some internal COVID issues that they had to manage around, had limited rosters. There's some mobility there from Fife. This team was rolling. And they were a COVID casualty like so many other teams and individuals nationwide. But I think that's why this sense of unfinished business. They want a full year of preparation in spring football and fall development. The culture that they've built here, that Coach DeBoer has brought, the humility that's on this team with a ton of talent. This is a team that can make some noise. They must continue to get better. But I really like the way that they've responded here from the 2nd quarter on.
1st and 10. Logan Fife, ball's tipped and intercepted. UConn has a turnover.
The defense. First down, UConn.
You're good.
Make every second more. Every game more. Every moment more heart-racing. Phone clutching, sitting, standing, solo dancing. With FanDuel, you can make every moment of the game mean more.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. By Cooper Tire. Go with the Coopers. And by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. What's your beef?
High hopes and high temperatures in Fresno. The Bulldogs have not disappointed. A 31-0 lead. Turnover, though. UConn's defense gives the ball to the offense. Not a great spot. Jack Zergiotis. And the offense sputtered in the first half. We'd love to get Kevin Mensah into some sort of rhythm. And if you're scoring with us at home, the UConn Huskies offense right now, 15 yards on the ground, 52 through the air. And Ronnie Rivers and Jalen Cropper by themselves right now are outdistancing the Huskies.
Yeah, we just saw that shot of offensive coordinator Frank Joffrey. He really wanted to come on the road and run the football, but Fresno State's just not making that easy.
One of the nation's leaders in tackles for losses last year, Kevin Atkins, and they're almost all back. 89 starts on this defensive line have come back this year.
But it wasn't just him. It was Mosby through there. Look at Kwame Jones off the outside edge, forcing it back inside. It's just a jailbreak up front. And that is really, really encouraging. UConn certainly didn't have a 2019 season that was anything to write home about, but moving the football on the ground wasn't their problem. They are struggling here today.
Robert Burns, short yardage back. Maybe just any yardage. Forward progress to the 2. Leonard Payne.
Kevin Atkins the first time. Now you got Leonard Payne here this time.
Marler not done at all. He's going to the inside of a Superman. Jonathan Davenport. 4-car battle for the lead into 1. This is what the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series is all about.
The Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, tomorrow at 7 Eastern.
Back at Bulldog Stadium, where Fresno State has a big lead, but they currently do not have their quarterback, Jake Haener. I'm keeping an eye on him. He is in the blue tent getting an IV right now. Left the field. They gave him hydration packets, laid him down, covered him in wet towels. He's double fisting Gatorade, and they just started working on him with a Theragun-type massager on his thighs. It looks like is the area that they're working on. Cropper's been over here checking on him quite a bit. Another guy who came down after that last offensive drive, 75, Akingbulu. He got stretched out. It looked like his calf. And by stretched out, the defensive coordinator, Inge, was the one who did it by himself.
Wow. Well, when they're done with the Theragun, send it up here, will you? It's warm here, too. And we've been double fisting whatever we could find throughout. And Ronnie Rivers. Now, this guy is really an interesting guy. His brother, Uhir, a basketball star in college at Loyola Chicago, and he started at New Mexico. He's the cousin of Luol Deng. They all emigrated and escaped from the war in Sudan. And his parents fled to Canada, and he finds himself in the middle of college football world while his brother has been excelling in the college basketball world.
Yeah, and Uguak was the one that tipped that football that allowed Lucien to get that interception. So Logan Fife here, starting his second drive, has to shake that one, and the offensive line has to be a little bit more stout up front and not be giving up those soft edges that get balls tipped like that.
His parents fled to Edmonton, great sports city that is. Jordan Mims. This guy is a weapon. I know that Ronnie Rivers is the headliner, but
one call to USAA got her a tow, her claim paid, and even her grandpa's dog tags back. Get a quote.
$31-0 Fresno State on top. While we were away, Bula Schmidt and Dante Bull, two offensive linemen, both came off with what looks like more cramping. And the temperatures, the high today in Fresno is supposed to get to 104, and the temperatures continue to climb. And as Lindsay has told us, it's been over 120 on the field. This is a fourth down. This is Rivers. That's a first down to the 36-yard line.
Not bad with the new right guard and new right tackle that pulled on that play to be able to successfully execute it and get up inside. This is an offensive line that's had some injuries, but it's given some of the younger guys an opportunity to play.
I think you're going to see both sides with reserves in and out for the rest of this game, not just because of the score, but because of the heat and the cramping that we've seen just in the last few minutes.
No doubt. Jalen Guerrero at right tackle. Wing formation off here to the right. Play action.
Logan Fife, that ball's tipped. These are the first snaps in college for Logan Fife, and he's in because Jake Haener left with cramping in both legs and has been in the therapy tent for about 15 minutes.
Coaching point there is to not rush it and panic. He's got to put a little bit of air up underneath this football. He wants to throw it straight and put it right on Rodriguez, but he's got to throw a fadeaway there to avoid the tip.
The backfield, 2nd and 10. Pocket collapses. He escapes, dumps it off. That's Mims to the 31. And it'll be third down and about 5. And now another UConn player is down with what looks like cramping. Lucien, who had the interception, trying to keep that leg stretched out.
Do baseball players, do they go down with cramps like football players do, or we just play harder than you guys did?
Oh, come on. I, at one point, was a football player. But, yeah, I mean, ended up a baseball player. No, look, it's a different sport. And right now, it's I mean, just the extreme temperatures. It's the first game of the year. I know these guys practice in it. UConn practices in humidity, and Fresno State practices in this heat.
But it's a dry heat, Rich.
Yeah,
it's a dry heat.
Go down and tell that to Lindsay, who's been battling 120, 125 degrees. Like
I'm at least
like a trooper.
I'm at least down 7 pounds myself. My right guard has left. I assure you of that.
They're down 5. Has some room and has a first down. And he's brought down there by Omar Fort. Lindsay's got her trusty thermometer, and I think it's broken at this point. Once it went past like 120, it's...
Did you catch that, though? She was shade shopping on the sidelines. Did you see that? You could see out of the corner of your eye, she was just tucked up underneath the shade.
Oh, I'm not stupid. I mean, I'm finding, and there's, by the way, this umbrella is the only shade on the sideline. This is not a shady stadium. As you saw, it's still off the charts down here on the field from a temperature standpoint, and it's getting more crowded in the blue tent. Haney is still laying down. They've been giving him multiple IVs, and 75 Akingbule has rejoined him. He's the one that stretched out personally, and it looks like there's another one down on the field now.
Hey, Lindsay, what have you seen as far as the sideline of all the trainers just trying to keep guys hydrated and keep this from happening, which it seems like every play we've got another player down?
Yeah, I'm curious to know if the players that they said were going to cramp up are the ones that have actually cramped up, because that was one of the things that DeBoer said was an advantage of practicing in this type of heat, is that they know exactly which guys are going to respond by cramping up. And then the good thing is that they say they already have tested out all the different ways. They know what their body responds to, so they can hopefully get them back on the field ASAP. I'm guessing that Hainer probably wasn't one of the guys that they were thinking this would happen to.
That's a great point. And on the other side, UConn came out on Thursday, and they had a practice on Thursday. They had another practice yesterday out in the heat, out on this field. So the Huskies have been here for a couple of days, but not much prepares you for, what is it down there, like 120 on the field right now? 120?
120. Well, so far as we know, because, it's gone down a little bit. I don't know how it does this. It's at like 116 right now. I think it depends on where it is stationed, right? If it's on a dark surface.
Or in the shade like you.
Or if I'm holding it up in the air, which I don't want to do because I want you to know how bad this is for me.
Jordan Mims on that carry, and the Bulldogs moving the football at the 13. Mims has been the feature back here. And he's gang tackled after picking up a first down at the 8-yard line. If you're just happening by this one, that's Logan Fife, backup quarterback. Jake Hainer is in the tent, and he's been there for 20 minutes with severe cramping in both legs. The Bulldogs and the Huskies came out, and the defense has dominated the first quarter. Fresno State's defense scored the first touchdown of the season, and then the Bulldog offense hit high gear in the second quarter. And Hainer has thrown for over 300 yards, and it felt like it happened all in the second quarter.
They're just going to their gap scheme, running power football.
And Mims is in. Touchdown, Bulldogs.
They ran that same play 3 or 4 times in a row. There are flags down. Might have been excessive celebration, but given how long it took this drive to get down into the end zone, they might have wanted to give them a little bit of a break there. Only the third drive of the third quarter, and there's 3:21 left.
Point of emphasis still this year is unsportsmanlike and taunting.
Just running a gap scheme to the right. Counter football. Double teams at the play side of attack, and nice physical running that time by Mims. And, man, I got to tell you, their tight end, Juan Rodriguez, has been beautiful.
Catch.
I mean, at some point you just want to start working on some of your concepts and stuff. This game is pretty out of control at this point. I mean, they've got 5 first downs all day long. They've really struggled on third down, 1 for 11. It just hasn't been the day that this offense wants to go. They've got 69 total yards so far today. It's a combination of them struggling, but you got to credit this Bulldog defense.
Brian Bruton with the carry, close to the sticks, got bounced back, and we'll see where they mark him.
Number 28.
He's going to be short of the first down. They'll bring up third down. So here's an opportunity to take a step forward, convert a third down, and build on that.
No question about that. And that front seven is largely backups for the Fresno State Bulldogs. See number 0 there, Evan Bennett. Matt Lawson's in there. Isaiah Johnson, number 18's out there.
Third down 2. Robert Burns, I'm not sure. Ball's loose, but the play's whistled down. I think he's shy of the first down. L.J. Early was all of that. He was early on the hit, made a good stop.
He sure did. He comes down and fills this alley. Bam, right there. Hits him at the line of scrimmage, just squares him up, keeps his outside arm and leg free. Doesn't fully wrap him up, but finally gets that right foot. But it's the ground that causes the fumble.
And that last stretch there by Burns was enough for the first down. So there's a third down conversion.
2 of 12. It's an improvement. They'll take it, man.
Little by little. First game in 637 days. Zergiotis got hit pretty good. More so the intended receiver. And it was Tyler Mello that came in and hit him.
Yeah, he did. It was a late pressure. They're putting some heat to Zergiotis. You see him right there, and just a lookout block that time by their center. Sidney Walker doesn't pick him up, and Zergiotis pays the price. Don't know if that was the center Walker's responsibility. But these guys are starting to play some football, even though it's largely backups in there.
Second down 10. Time for Zergiotis. And a man open. Little low throw, but high enough that it was caught there.
I think it's really important for UConn and for Zergiotis. He's a talented player. He hasn't had a good day. This isn't the way he wanted to start after being off for 18 months. That was the identity, sorry.
That was Ja'Kai Gill, who is deep on the depth chart, and he's getting some run right now as a wide receiver for the Huskies. This is third down and 5. Carter, right side. And he's got 3 yards.
And you go for this if you're UConn.
Oh, yeah.
To finish my thought, the identity of an offense is usually designed around the quarterback, and the poise that he has is a reflection of what that offense is. It's important that these guys have something to hang their hat on, some sort of success to be able to end this ball game so that they can build. Again, this is about building for the future. It's not necessarily this season. You want to win every game you play, but it's about progress, chopping wood and hauling water. And I think the Huskies out here on the road on a hot day need to keep playing hard and have something positive happen.
And they need 2 yards on this snap to get a first down. Boy, that I don't know about that. Kevin Mensah got hit and backed up and then made a surge. But I don't know that the surge was enough. Of course, I was wrong on the last one, so.
A little tentative and hesitant there. There was a little bit of pressure. A little too little, little too late, and I think it's going to be another stop on downs here for the Bulldogs.
They may bring the chains out.
It's going to be close, though.
And the officials will bring the chains out. 38-0, Fresno State on top. Final seconds, third quarter. In the heat in Fresno, the opener for us here on CBS Sports Network, and obviously on week 0 for UConn and Fresno State.
As we're taking a look at this measurement here, defensive coordinator William Inge was fired up. Now the rest of his team's fired up.
He's I don't know that we're going to have a better coaches meeting than we had with William Inge this week. He was absolutely terrific. You can tell why his players absolutely love him.
Just great push at the point of attack, and right there, Mensah slips a little bit. The footing has not been the best, but you see the energy there. He talked about communication, tackling, being physical, takeaways, fanatical effort, and bringing that juice. Jacked up intensity. What was the C and E?
You lost me at number 3, the takeaways. But yeah, the juice. Final seconds, third quarter.
We think collectively it was controlled explosion. We'll have it after the commercial.
Nice throw and catch. Eric Brooks has the first down. And the Bulldogs offense clicking right now. It's good to see Logan Fife get in a little bit of rhythm. These are his very first college snaps. And he's probably going to get a lot of them in the fourth quarter. And we're headed there soon. Bulldogs out of the Mountain West, looking sharp. UConn, the independent from the East. And the Bulldogs are up big. Lindsey Rhodes on the sidelines. This has been impressive. After the second quarter hit, the Bulldogs looked like the team we expected.
They settled themselves down. I think it was the emotions of finally playing at home with the band and the fans that got to them early, but they figured it out.
Logan Fife on the run. That's Jordan Wilmore with the catch. And Wilmore is hit hard there by Hunter Webb, backup linebacker for UConn.
I think this turns into a situation where you get a lot of live game reps with all of your players as we see another player down for UConn, Jordan Morrison, the sophomore.
And that's been
let off there, yeah.
a recurring theme here once we got to the second half, where players being helped off the field with cramping. It's incredibly warm, 100 degrees right now in Fresno. On the field, you can add about 17 to 20 degrees to that. Second down and 5.
Two tight ends. Play action.
And Fife behind the line of scrimmage. And let's go down to Lindsey Rhodes.
As we got like a cramping convention taking place in this blue tent right now. 4 guys, so many that they had to bring in extra chairs and kind of move them around in order to space them out. It's Jalen Cropper, Matt Smith, Dante Bull, and Aking Boulay. I asked the trainer, or one of the doctors, I'm sorry, how many IV bags they had, because they're going through so many. He said he didn't want to answer, but that the hospital was close and they have more if they need them. And I think he was joking about that, but he wasn't joking when he said they did have an IV bag for me if I needed it, and I might.
Hang in there. A lot of depth. You need it on a day like this. And as we noted, I think a lot of the second and third teamers are going to get some run here in the fourth quarter. Wilmore is one of those guys, the sophomore, the transfer from Utah out of Inglewood, California.
Had a beautiful run the play before this last one. He's got some juice to him.
This is Wilmore again, and he's inside the 20.
And I want to redeem myself for the juice when we were talking about defensive coordinator William Inge. We can confirm that the players in the linebacker room came up with this acronym that stands for Jacked Up Intensity Continuous Effort. They want to bring the juice. And that's exactly what they did as we're watching Wilmore start to get things rolling. And we talked about the lack of the depth on the defensive line. I think we're seeing it here in the fourth quarter for UConn.
They better bring the juice with their schedule. They're on the road at Oregon. They're at UCLA later. And their road schedule in the Mountain West is tough, too. Road games at San Diego State, San Jose State. Wyoming's not easy. And Hawaii is not an easy place to travel and play, as we know.
Man, if they get themselves the championship game, they will have earned it.
Logan Fife escapes, throws, caught there at the 2. Flag down. And that catch by Raymond Powles, the tight end.
Might have been some flim-flying, unsportsmanlike conduct given how late it was and where it was on the field. I didn't see it live here. Let's see if we can get the call or take a look at it. Yep.
Defense, half the distance to the goal.
It was on Nick Harris, the true freshman out of Marriottsville, Maryland. Marriotts Ridge High School player, had his hand up inside the face mask of an offensive lineman and adds on to what was an already pretty good run. You see him at the bottom of the screen. He's got the stab, but he's up underneath the chin strap in the face mask. He's actually got it on the jersey there. It might not have been as lucky for old 94 there, but that rule is in place to keep the players safe.
stood up. Jalon Farrell.
Justin Moore, number 68, breaks through the double team there, spooks him out of there, but man, just a great job. Justin Moore, number 68, breaks through the double team there, spooks him out of there, but man, just a great job there by Farrell, the safety. Redshirt sophomore out of Killian High School in Miami, brought the wood there. That's the way you're supposed to show up on the goal line, bow in your neck.
Wilmore still in there. This has been a Logan Fife drive with Hayner out. Little shovel for the touchdown. That was pretty. That's Raymond Powles Jr. from Logan Fife. And that will go as a touchdown pass.
Little homage to the Kansas City Chiefs there. A little shovel pass underneath to the tight end coming across. They run so much of that split flow zone where the tight end comes across like he's going to block the defensive end, then he just slips him. The defense reads run, leaves him wide open. Great play call and execution.
Fresno State, pretty deep. You watch these second liners, and they look pretty darn good. Logan Fife leads the drive. Raymond Powles Jr. into the end zone. Champions. There's a lot of Fresno State up there. Fresno State has played in 4 of the 8 championship games. And San Jose State last year took down Boise State. Boise State has been involved a lot.
Been the only representative from the mountain. The West has really dominated this since we went to divisions and started having the championship game.
All right, early in the football game, we presented to you Taylor track. So we need to find out how accurate Aaron Taylor was.
Well, it seems like I got lucky today. I nailed this one. Protect the defense up top. That was controlling the football. They just didn't do it. Not on third down. It's been awful here in the second half. Limiting the explosive plays. 3 rushes of 10-plus yards, but 5 passes for over 285 yards, 2 of which were touchdowns. That's not good. And for Fresno State, protecting the franchise, the offense has been great. They've given up some pressures, but no sacks, and stopping the run, only 23 rush yards, less than a yard per rush. They got it done up front on both sides of the football. Ooh, nice.
That one incomplete. For UConn, remember, this is their very first trip for the football team to the state of California. And Jack Zergiotis zipped that one in there. Good defense. Cale Sanders with the denial, the freshman.
Yeah, he's a freshman out of Porter, Texas, went to New Caney High School. The coaches told us that this is a guy, even though he's a freshman, that will find his way onto the field. He's made a lot of plays in fall camp, and you can see why. Timed that pass break up there beautifully.
It's been Jack Zergiotis from the very start. And Zergiotis goes down. Ryan Bain, the junior, the transfer out of Cal Poly.
And he's a senior right here on the right. He's going to be a TT. He was the first, the spiker. As an offensive lineman, you cannot let the penetrator to the hip of the adjacent lineman. That's exactly what happens there, and the result is that Bain gets himself a sack, and he earned it. It's hard to be the first guy that's there to make the sack on a twist inside, but that's exactly what 37 did.
I like that. That is sexy offensive line terminology.
Just trying to take the people inside the trenches where it all happens, bitch.
I didn't realize that it was so much fun.
More than you know, my friend. My offensive line coach.
False start. Offense. Not all players were set prior to the ball being snapped. 5-yard penalty.
Ooh, busted. It's tough. You got some backups in there now, too. It's late in the game. But there's been a lot of self-inflicted wounds for Edsel's team here.
You go 637 days without a football game. That's, you know, I mean, that's tough. And it's the little things that you can't simulate in one's good on good or 1 versus 1 in practice. Zergiotis' throw. And Keelan Marion was the intended receiver. He took a hit. That could have been a much harder hit. I think the defender actually eased up on him a bit.
I think Marion eased up reaching for that football. He felt it coming. And maybe smartly so. He sees the ball, but he feels the defender coming. And he's a young player, a freshman out of Atlanta. Palmetto Prep, as we saw Pate there deliver that blow. That's your 3rd and 22 play that falls incomplete, and another off-target pass by Zergiotis. You wonder if we're going to see any from his backup, Steven Krajewski, who was the quarterback that he had some competition with this fall.
Amari Pate with that hit. Fair catch called for. Zane Pope makes it. We are in the central. Our player of the game is brought to you by Old Trapper Beef Jerky. That was not the Old Trapper in that shot, but our player of the game is the record breaker, and it's Ronnie Rivers.
Equally effective on the ground and through the air today, 123 combined yards, but it was this 61-yarder that put him over the top. 45 total touchdowns atop the leaderboard for the Fresno State Bulldogs in their illustrious history.
Logan Fife continues, and he looks better with every snap he gets in his very first college game. Jake Hayner out with cramps. Looked better when he came out of the tent, but I think wisely Fresno State is sticking with their freshman quarterback here.
A lot of backup offensive linemen in there, a lot of twos. This is a great opportunity for guys that have shown some potential to get out there on the field and get some meaningful reps.
Mac DeLena is there, in there at wide receiver. Hunter Webb makes the stop.
One of the players we haven't talked a whole lot about that's probably the best player on the team is defensive tackle 57, Travis Jones, that we're taking a look at here. He's a big-bodied run stuffer who I think's got a chance to be a late-round draft pick, and if he tends to play a little bit better, he could get drafted higher, but I know Lindsay likes him too.
A couple people in the scouting draft community today, and they liked him also. One person said that they had a day 2 grade on him, so that's obviously the 2nd or 3rd round. That's pretty high for somebody who didn't even play last year. He called him one of the best interior defensive linemen in the 2022 draft. So today is massive for these UConn players in particular, but him obviously, because the scouting community is finally getting a look at him. They've been waiting.
You know what, Lindsay and Aaron, after the snap ball, drop something on you. It's deflected. I think the NFL scouts and the college football world, after 2 or 3 weeks of seeing this UConn team, they're going to have players like that have taken a quantum leap from 637 days ago when they last played a game. Guys that haven't been on film, guys that have been in the weight room, that have been practicing. Like I said, they have a terrific facility there at UConn. So, Lindsay, I think that he's not going to be the only guy that's opening eyes.
No, and I ran into a scout at the hotel earlier before I left, and I also thought this might be a great opportunity for these UConn players. Now, it hasn't gone the way that they wanted to, obviously. They don't have a single point, and the defense has kind of gotten blown up. But from an individual standpoint, this 0-week game, there isn't a lot of competition for eyeballs. So a lot of people who are looking from a scout standpoint are going to get an opportunity to tune into this game and see what these guys bring to the table. And again, without a year's worth of tape, they're going to be particularly eager to watch.
Hey, Lindsay, Ronnie Rivers, I'm sure there's a lot of scouts that have liked him as well.
Yeah, Ronnie Rivers, the person that I talked to said that he had a day 3 grade on him, but it'll be interesting to see if he can maximize that. The problem with Rivers, or I guess the question with Rivers, is just going to be size, right? Can he take on those linebackers in the NFL? That's not really his game, obviously, but it could potentially be a problem for him if he goes to a place like the Senior Bowl or something like that.
There's no question like that, but he's really changed his body over the last couple of years, and he's about 195 now, and you really see his play strength and power has developed. And we were talking with the offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, and he said, man, the weight gain has really helped him.
Fife over the middle, and it's in and out of the hands.
And particularly where you see that is when he's taking on backers, and whether it's a half man or a full man, he can hold his own. But he's the type of guy that can come in on 3rd down and maybe be able to help you as a receiver
6
coming out.
6 years in the NFL for Pops.
Tell you what, man, Ron Rivers played DN. You can't tell me that dude was a running back. Now, of course, I know he was. My best friend from high school, Don Mazzotti, came here and played, obviously, in the early 90s, and he said that Ron Rivers was a beast as a running back and really set the tone for a team that's been blue-collar and tough for a lot of years.
51-yard attempt that has plenty of leg.
Oh!
And hits the upright.
Off the right crossbar, no good.
That's a good sign. Cesar Silva had plenty of leg there from 51. In Fresno, Bulldogs all day long. 1,000, fewest total yards allowed. 102 was the record back against Sacramento State. 77 today. And UConn has made a change at quarterback. Kevin Mensah. Steve Krajewski is in. Krajewski, the sophomore out of Michigan, who's had a really good camp. They like him a lot. And so he and Zergiotis battled. They're both sophomores. Zergiotis won the job in the fall. Of course, he played a lot in 2019. But they are high on this kid.
Yeah, they are. He's really competitive, hit the playbook hard in their time off. He really knows this offense. He's only thrown 15 passes.
Mensah getting outside. And he's knocked out of bounds. Deron Bland made the stop.
Now, this is a testament to how good Fresno State's defense has been. That's the running ability of Mensah. There's largely 2s and 3s, though, on the other side for Fresno State. That's the big difference. This is the sort of production that allowed this very talented player to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He has the ability to be the first ever in program history to do that 3 times in a row, but they're going to have to block a heck of a lot better for him up front than they have so far this game, but he's looked really good on these last 2 plays.
We're under 7 minutes left here. Krajewski to the air for the first time, going deep, and there's contact and flags. So flags thrown. Intended receiver was Aaron Turner.
And that was Deron Bland in his hip.
Number 5, Aaron Turner was the intended receiver.
So the penalty's going to put this at the Fresno State 30. You'd love to see UConn get on the board. They get some positive stuff out of this 4th quarter. That man doesn't want it. William Inge, the defensive coordinator for Fresno State, still bringing the juice.
Kyle DeBoer, the head coach, sitting there yelling and trying to fire up this defense as well.
Now UConn, talking about schedules, UConn's schedule this year as an independent has actually turned into a nice schedule. They've got Holy Cross next, then they have a home game against Purdue.
And that's going to be an opportunity for them. And Purdue's one of those teams that I think offensively is going to bounce themselves back. Going on the road against Army, somebody that likes to run the football, could be a challenge. Wyoming's going to be a physical team. On the road to the SEC against Vanderbilt. Then games against Yale, Middle Tennessee, at Clemson, at UCF versus Houston to finish the year. That's going to test and really be a barometer of where this team's at.
And one thing Randy Edsall told us about in terms of scheduling, that they've been able to renew some of the rivalries they had back in the old Big East days with teams like Pittsburgh and such.
And he said he wanted to compliment David Benedict, the athletic director, that this is the type of schedule we're going to need to help rebuild this program. Some high-profile games, maybe have an opportunity to knock some people off. But I think if they're going to do it, Rich, they really need to find an identity for who this team's going to be. Right now, they're still looking for that.
And Krajewski's looking for a hand up after getting sacked there. And Tyler Mello for the 2nd time getting to the quarterback.
Tyler Mello was there. Leonard Payne was in on that. Mello's been making some noise here in this 2nd half. Some good push up front. Mello's kind of slow playing it, spying, if you will, not letting the quarterback run up through. But when his back leads and he knows he's got a green light, he goes and gets home.
Nathan Carter in the backfield on 4th down now. Krajewski in the pocket, Big arm and incomplete. Cameron Hairston had separation at the very end of the pattern.
Right decision, just a little bit overthrown. That ball had about a 6-yard window to be able to drop into the bucket. Couldn't get it done.
4.5 minutes left here in Fresno. UConn's come close a couple times. Here, though, a lot of the fans in 120 degrees in the stands and on the field have gone home for their air conditioning. Here's the schedule. Now, we talked about next week. You've got big game at number 11 Oregon, on the 18th at UCLA. And remember, the Bulldogs have gone to UCLA their last 2 times and come out with wins. At Hawaii, at San Diego State, Boise State, and at San Jose State.
It's a tough road schedule, but one this team is built to successfully navigate.
Flag down, so is Wilmore, the ball carrier.
Jordan Wilmore with the carry. Penalty marker down.
Fresno State, and we had that shot of Pat Hill earlier. Fresno State has always had the attitude, we will play you wherever and whenever you want. They have always been ambitious with their scheduling. Their future schedules, next year, Oregon State comes in here, road game against USC. In 23, at Purdue, at Arizona State, BYU comes in here. In 3 years, at Michigan and at UCLA. And that's always been the case with Fresno State.
Just a blue-collar team for a blue-collar community. People don't understand how important football is here in the Valley. You and I walked into the stadium together. There was some people tailgating there, and I said, hey, what's for lunch? I said, lunch? We started with breakfast. We've been here since 6 a.m. This community loves this football team. The football team loves the people here in the Valley. Most of the food that we eat comes from this part of the country.
Fife will dump off. Wilmore fights for extra yards. He's still well short of the first down. That's back to the original line of scrimmage.
Paul Loeffler, the voice of the Bulldogs, brought me up some raisins, some Fresno State raisins, flame raisins, if you will. And I asked him, what does that mean? Are they spicy? He's like, no, that's the brand, the varietal. I don't know a lot about grape varietals, but what I do know is that most of the grapes we see that Sun-Maid's got some advertising in here come from this area. It's just blue-collar, hard-working people so that we can have good things to eat as we see a scramble there futilely on 3rd down, bringing up 4th.
Most of the varietals are things that you drink.
Well, you know I hung those cleats up a long time ago for very good reasons, Rich.
3:20 left in this one. And Fresno State and UConn opening up the college football season. We've got San Jose State a little bit later coming up. They take on Southern Utah. That's a program that just has, in a couple years, has come eons and improvement. Champions last year. Great punt. Way back there is Cam Ross. And Ross up the sidelines, got some room, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 32. Big picture storylines in college football.
Oh, my gosh. You want to talk about players' rights taking a step in a huge direction. Name, image, and likeness. The transfer portal, the one-time transfer rule that basically has created free agency. That was the talk. And then the 12-team playoff. Everybody was excited about that. More is better until the SEC decided to expand and cherry-pick Texas and Oklahoma out of the Big 12, and then finally the Promise Ring Alliance between the ACC, the Big 10, and the Pac-12. They're going to put a ring on it, but no promises, no legalities. But take our word for it. We're going to band together and try and defend our rights to do a couple things, in my opinion, Rich. One, to make sure that there's more players at the table for the rights when the playoffs come to kind of go to the NFL model, but also to ensure that they've got some leverage when it comes to decision-making as college football moves forward.
And I think sort of the unknown with that is what effect does it have on conferences like the Mountain West or the American or an independent like UConn?
The word that comes to mind, honestly, is cataclysmic. I think there's a growing divide between the have and the have-nots that we're seeing out in the real world that has kind of always been there within college football, but as we've seen the middle class kind of get eradicated, the autonomous five are going to become more powerful and much more autonomous, especially as you go to a 12-team playoff. That's going to make it really hard for the TCUs and the Utahs and the Boise States of the world to get their chance to dance at the table. Or on the table, I should say. And that's a shame. That's really a shame. And we're also seeing now that coaches are going to have to recruit their own rosters. Schools are now going to target the successful players at the Group of 5 level and bring them up. Shoot, Alabama is going to start Henry To'o, who's the player that went to De La Salle, was Tennessee's leading tackler a season ago, as the starting linebacker for Alabama. There's going to be a lot more of that, and if it's going to happen there, it's certainly going to happen on this level, making it much harder for the Group of 5 teams to play at the level necessary like the big boys.
I'll play the other side of the street, though. On the other side of that are players that didn't get a chance, and we've had a great example of it today in Jake Haener at University of Washington. And Haener comes to Fresno State, and suddenly he's rocking and rolling in a really good offense with a school and a program that has traditionally put not just players in the NFL, but stars in the NFL. We talked about quarterbacks and Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Bernard Berrien, Stephen Baker, Henry Allard. I mean, some great wide receivers have come out of here as well.
Great job there finishing the play by Isaiah Johnson. And you're right, but I would argue, Rich, that that's good for the individual players, but the collective body of the Group of 5 football entities institutionally is going to suffer. There might be players that benefit, like a Jake Haener that comes down, but there's going to be a lot more cherry picking up, and that's going to help the Power 5 institutions and hurt schools and franchises and institutions like the Mountain West Conference and Fresno State.
Zane Pope with that fair catch. God bless you in this heat, the fans that have stuck through this. And, of course, our Lindsey Rhodes has been down on the sidelines. Last we checked, it was like 120 down there. Lindsey, what's the
over
latest?
120. Over 120. I don't know. It's over 120. It's off the charts.
Now, Lindsey, I got to ask you, I thought, and don't think I didn't notice, that the snake skin print on the blouse, was that your way of trying to get a cold-blooded creature to kind of maybe psychologically bring the temperature down a little bit?
That's a really good observation. If I was thinking that much about my wardrobe, I wouldn't have worn black or pants. And by the way, just an update, my makeup has thoroughly melted. I look like a 12-year-old out here.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, so is mine.
Yeah. Well done. 45-0. Fresno State pitching a shutout here with 1:22 left. Second down and 11. The Bulldogs, just an eye on the play clock. They're going to time this out, take a knee, and try to get off the field without anybody else cramping up on either side. (2017) last time you go back to a Fresno State team that shut somebody out. They shut out New Mexico in the Mountain West.
Just a great start by this team. You get the result. You want to be 1-0. It is statistically impossible to be better than that, Rich, at this point in the season.
And a challenge, of course, next week on the road against Oregon.
But you'll be able to compare the first quarter offensively with the last three and say, hey, fellas, when we execute and do our job, we've got a chance to play with anybody. And that's a confidence they're going to need to go on the road to try to beat an Oregon team.
Logan Fife getting his first snaps at college. Jake Haener went the first 2 and change after cramps took him off the field. Hopefully he's back and ready to roll. He should be against the Oregon Ducks next week. And Kalen DeBoer finally gets a coach a game here in this building with fans on a hot, hot day in the Central Valley.
Well, as I like to say, on hot days like this when I've sweated profusely, my secret is telling on me. My right guard has left, and I am in desperate need of a shower, my man. My talcum powder has been under assault all day long. I can assure you of that.
You know what? I don't care about heat. I don't care about how much we sweat, and we did up here and down on the field. College football's back, and it feels like and looks like, sounds like, and even tastes like with the tailgaters this morning. It tastes like it used to, and that